Adrian Kincaid, a name whispered in hushed tones, a figure shrouded in mystery. To the world he was a ghost, a phantom who vanished into thin air. His crimes were brazen, his escapes legendary. They called him the Phantom, a moniker earned through 2 decades of daring heists. 24 banks, 4 police stations, his targets, symbols of power, of authority. And he, a master of deception, had brought them all to their knees. The newspapers couldn't get enough of him. Every robbery, a meticulously planned spectacle. Every escape, a thumb in the eye of the law. The public, both terrified and strangely thrilled, followed his exploits with bated breath. He was a riddle, an enigma. And behind the mask, beneath the carefully constructed facade, lay a story more complex, more fascinating than anyone could have imagined. Adrian Kincaid wasn't born a criminal. He entered the world in a small, blue-collar town, the son of a carpenter. His father, a man of quiet strength and unwavering work ethic, instilled in him a deep respect for craftsmanship. Adrian spent his childhood in his father's workshop, surrounded by the scent of sawdust and the rhythmic clang of hammer against nail. He was a quick study, his small hands surprisingly adept. He learned to measure twice, cut once, to see the potential in raw materials, to build something beautiful, something lasting, from nothing. These lessons, learned in the heart of his childhood, would stay with him, shaping him in ways he couldn't yet comprehend. They would lay the foundation for a different kind of artistry, a darker kind of craft. Life, however, had a way of twisting even the most carefully laid plans. Adrian grew up, started a family of his own. He found honest work, but the burden of responsibility pressed down on him. Bills piled up, the specter of financial ruin loomed large. He struggled to make ends meet, the fear of failure a constant weight on his chest. It was during this period of desperation that the whispers began. Whispers of a different path, a way out of the suffocating grip of debt. A dangerous path, paved with risks and shrouded in shadows. Adrian, once a law-abiding citizen, found himself contemplating the unthinkable, a life of crime. Section 4. The maiden heist, the First National Bank. A stately building, a symbol of prosperity. It was there on a crisp autumn morning that Adrian Kincaid crossed the Rubicon. His heart pounded against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the bank. His disguise was simple. A nondescript baseball cap pulled low, sunglasses obscuring his eyes. He'd studied the bank's layout, timed the security guards' rounds. Every detail memorized, every move choreographed. He passed the teller a note, his hand steady, his voice a low murmur. No sudden movements, no threats, just a quiet demand, an unspoken promise of violence if crossed. The teller, pale and trembling, complied. Adrian walked out with a duffel bag full of cash, disappearing into the anonymity of the city streets. Section 5. The Master of Disguise. Success, they say, is addictive. And Adrian Kincaid, once he'd tasted it, found himself craving more. He honed his craft, each heist bolder than the last. His disguises became more elaborate. A construction worker, a businessman, a priest. He studied human behavior, mastering the art of blending in, of becoming invisible. His meticulous planning became legendary. He researched his targets, exploited security flaws. He knew the rhythms of the city, the ebb and flow of pedestrian traffic. He was a phantom, appearing and disappearing at will, leaving a trail of bewildered witnesses and empty vaults in his wake. His name became synonymous with daring, with meticulous planning, with the audacity to defy the very institutions meant to uphold the law. Section 6. Toying with the law. After years of targeting banks, Adrian Kincaid made a daring, some would say reckless, shift. He set his sights on a new kind of target: police stations. These weren't just robberies, they were audacious acts of defiance, a direct challenge to the very heart of law enforcement. He seemed to revel in the irony, in the sheer audacity of it all. He targeted police stations in small towns, exploiting their lax security. He would often strike during shift changes, creating confusion and chaos. He wasn't after cash, he was after something far more valuable: evidence. Confiscated weapons, drugs, case files. He cleaned them out, leaving behind a trail of baffled cops and mounting public outrage. The Phantom, it seemed, was playing a dangerous game, taunting the authorities, daring them to catch him.